right, guys, we are back, and this is the solo live here in the evening, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, coming to you from Lethbridge, Alberta, where I broadcast. Today, we are going to be talking about the fact that the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program has got some brand new guidelines that they're releasing, and if you read between the lines, this is going to cause freaking awful consequences for people. I just spoke in Brooks with the rural renewal stream officers at a rural immigration conference. Brooks is located east of Calgary, and I did that about 3 weeks ago. I can't remember, right around there. And I had a discussion with them. I said, look, you guys, unless you institute some form of cap or you do something to curtail the number of applications you receive, you're going to have like 5,000 or 6,000 applications through the rural renewal stream alone if you don't do something about this. And they were, didn't say a thing to me. They're like, well, yeah, we're aware of that. And all along, what was happening? Well, what was happening is this announcement that I'm going to get to. I'll wait a little bit for some people to pile in and we'll talk about this. But effectively, what's happened is that the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program has instituted a new way of processing these applications. And I'll be honest, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Because unless there's more information out there, it sure looks to me like it's going to be a race to file. And you guys know what that's been like. If I go back to 2021, the TR to PR pathway, remember that one? Those of you that are still around from 3 years ago, still hoping and dreaming that you're going to get a PR option available to you. Maybe you missed out on that one because you didn't have your language test. Well, for all intents and purposes, that's kind of where we're at right now. It's going to be a race to file. Unless, like I said, further clarification comes out, and there's a lot of questions that are out there. Those of you who are tuning in, please post in the comments. Give me a shout out. I love to see who's connecting in here, and we will open up some time to get to some answers. So Anastasia, it's good to see you guys. I know you're trying to figure out what the options are available for you guys, but I know you're well along your path, so you're probably not too concerned. But yeah, those of you who are tuning in, please post where you're tuning in from. We've got Hassan, who's up in Fort McMurray. Obviously, you guys that are in Alberta are the ones that are really, really keen on this. Saad he's up in Edmonton. The Twins of China, good morning. Promise, good to see you connecting in over from Kitchener. We've got a bunch of other people. We've got Shireen is Red Deer. Welcome, Shireen. Great to have you here. We've got Toby, who's up in Calgary. And Murad's over in Algeria. Welcome. We got the White Magic, Vancouver, tuning in. Cheryl is also in Red Deer. Do we got two people in Red Deer? Hey, I wonder if you guys know each other. Let's see, who else do we have here? We've got Shalia up in Calgary, and Gur is in Airdrie. We've got Prodigal Son is in Ontario. Rowan is Kurdistan. We've got in Belleville. Okay, great. All right. So a few shout outs. So yeah, keep posting and we'll connect those into our live stream and give you guys shout outs. Now, with this being said, let's slide over and let's talk about this. So if we go to the actual announcement, it is very sparse. So once again, I take my 20 years of experience and try to decipher what exactly they're getting at here. So let's just look at this together. And I know many of you have probably looked at it, have just as many questions as I do. And by all means, we can talk about it. And I've got some, if you hang on after we get through the little introduction, I have I've got some tips and some strategies that I want to share with all of you guys just to help you prepare, because the biggest announcement is right here, June 3rd, right here is the announcement came out just today that the Alberta Opportunity Stream will resume on June the 11th, but it will not be the same process, at least the way you would have approached it, as was the case before they closed it or paused it on February the 15th. So what we're going to talk about today is obviously June 11th. You can see here they say that they will resume accepting applications on June 11th under the new guidelines. What we don't know, does that mean 12:01 a.m.? Can you imagine that, guys? Like having to be up at midnight and wondering when it's going to open up. So Alicia and I have already sent questions to them to try to seek information. And I promise you, I will share every single thing that I hear or learn with you. I will go live as frequently as we need to, because let's face it, there are thousands and thousands of people that are now going to be vying for these AOS spots. And stay tuned. We're going to talk about exactly what this new world is likely going to look like. So they'll resume on June the 11th under the new guidelines. We don't know when the start will be. They now are doing their spin. Okay, this is the spin. This new approach will result in better processing times. Well, for sure it will, because they're only going to take so many. Now, I will point out one thing, and we'll get to it as we talk about this. Those of you who remember the hospitality and tourism industry stream, do you remember that one? And they opened it up, and what happened? Well, let's slide right back here. And if we look at the other guidelines, you'll remember that when they opened up, we're going to close this one here, February the 13th, the tourism and hospitality stream. They announced February 13th that it was going to go live. And so launching a new immigration stream on March 1st, 2024. How long did it take for this stream to fill up? Those spots that they'd allocated. How long? I'm sure you guys can answer it. 1 day. 1 day. And so that is very likely a taste of what we are going to see here. So once again, we'll just go through these very quickly and we'll get right into the meat and potatoes, okay? All right, so this new approach, they claim, will result in better processing times. Yes, it will, and offer applicants multiple opportunities to apply to the program. Holy freak, like who cares? I don't want multiple times. I want to be able to get ready, be prepared, and submit, and you process it. Not this crazy race to file, which they appear to be doing. So for the limited number of available provincial nomination certificates, and boy, yes, they do have a limited number. So applications will be accepted on 7 dates for the remainder of 2024, 1 per month. So every month, if you don't get it, you're going to have to ramp up, get prepared, and crazy fast typing. I don't know what they're doing here, but we saw this with the TR to PR pathway. We saw this with the H-1B. You saw that H-1B. We saw it with the caregiver program. And like all feds, and I don't know why, I'll be honest, I don't know why the provincial government did this. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But other than they just like to torment people. So each month, a specific number of applications will be accepted. When the target is reached, no further applications will be accepted until the next date. The target is subject to change. Okay, that's great. Well, here's a couple questions that I have within this whole process. And one of the questions is, when you're submitting your application, at what stage are you notified that you're not going to make the cut? Because it takes time to fill in the Alberta portal, the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, their portal for filing the application. And so I have to assume that it's a race to file. And if that's the case, will you be able to see the spots that are available? That's one thing. Because if there's a ticker showing how many applications have been submitted, at what point are they going to close it down? So will this system still allow you to pay? What if you pay, right? And then 4 other people submit it before you. Well, then what happens? Are they going to keep your money? Are they going to refund it? I'm assuming they're going to refund it, you know, and exactly what time, like I said, will it open up? So, you know, if you happen to submit your application and you get it in and you click submit and it's accepted, does that mean you're in? Or does that mean that there's going to be more than one person applying at the same time? And this is really important, you guys, because if you remember from the TR to PR pathway, everybody was trying to file as quickly as possible. In fact, so many people were clicking submit at the same time that the little counter they had was counting 2 applications submitted at the exact same time as one, to the point where there was almost, I think, around 8,000 or so, approximately 8,000 additional TR to PR pathway applications that made it into the system that were accepted for processing because the little counter couldn't keep up with how fast people were submitting. So this is a reality, and I really wish I had, you know, the opportunity to give some direction or at least some insight to the provincial government, because I don't know if they really understand what they're doing here. Well, I guess they do, because like I said, People worked through the process for the hospitality program, and it was filled in a day. So that is very likely going to be very similar to what we're seeing here. Okay, application acceptance dates, all of this are posted on the AAIP. They're subject to change. Great. So you can see prospective applicants should visit regularly for more current information. So this, I'm hoping, means that they're going to provide more details, more explanations on the actual site when you go to the Alberta Opportunity Stream. So I'm hoping they're going to do that. But just to reiterate, they got no new nominations for this year. So they only have 9,750 this year for 2024. And what that means is these spots they're not going to be able to take in more than they have room for. Okay, so that's the AOS. Now, let's take a look at these new guidelines, because these new guidelines do not just apply to AOS. They apply to 3 other programs. The row renewal stream, which is specifically what I brought up with those officers, because right now there's no cap. There was no crazy timeline or deadline. And what they've effectively done now is placed caps on each of these programs: the row renewal stream, the accelerated tech pathway, and the tourism and hospitality stream. So if we go up to the front, and I always like to read this preamble, because these preambles are what sets the stage for their real intentions as they release more specific information. So they're acknowledging the demand to immigrate to Alberta is far higher than the province can accommodate within the limited number of nominations received from the federal government every year. This is a jab at the Liberal government for not giving them more nominations. So it's a little jab. You guys should have given us more spots. Therefore, the AAIP must manage its 2024 allocation to address economic priorities across all sectors. And this is really, really important, because if you're in a position or a job that is like it's saturated, and it's not something that, there's real shortages, then, we don't know to what extent they're going to actually bar applications. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're still going to keep it relatively open, but there's only going to be so limited number that are allowed in through the AOS, which tends to be more general. And instead, what they're going to be doing, and they're going to divide it up evenly amongst the row renewal stream, accelerated tech, and tourism and hospitality in accordance with their own priorities and policies. And they have always taken the position that they can make whatever decision they want. They don't have to give you any notice. Which this really sucks, because when people are trying to plan their future and they don't know if they're even going to get one of those spots, well, what do? The government could make a decision next week. Well, we changed our mind. We didn't like how that rolled out on June the 11th. And so we're going to change it because it crashed our system or something. Like, literally, they can use you as guinea pigs, and you have no recourse, because at the end of the day, this is a program of policy, not a program that's baked with the actual legislative provision. So they can adapt and change as much as they want. So as a result, to help manage the incredible demand, processing times, and maximum nominations for 2024, the AAIP has adopted new guidelines for the program. So Alberta Opportunity, Rural Renewal, Accelerated Tech, and and you can see here, similar to those used in the tourism and hospitality stream. So basically, the experience that you had if you tried to file an application through the tourism and hospitality stream is going to be very similar now to the other programs, which, once again, what was the tourism and hospitality stream? Guys, it was a race to file. So each month, a targeted number of applications will be accepted into the pool from where the AAIP will draw. Okay, so this is the interesting thing. So does this mean that they're going to open it up and that a bunch of people are going to be put into the pool? Like, this is what's really confusing to me. Each month, a targeted number of applications will be accepted into the pool from where the AAIP will draw. So it almost hints that they're going to open it up on June the 11th, take a bunch of applications, and then choose the ones that they want to process. In other words, this draw, and then return the others. Maybe that's the case. Maybe they're going to give one day for everybody to submit their applications, and maybe it won't be a complete race to file whoever can click first. But I'm sorry, this is very, very poorly thought out. So this approach provides applicants with multiple opportunities to apply and access to the year-round program. Well, this allows applicants who can type fast the opportunity to do it. Or obviously, with our firm, we know how to do this. We've done it numerous times. And I'd wager we're probably in a position to fall faster than you. But like any of these programs, I won't take more than one person each month to do it. Because how can I adequately represent anyone? And please, I'm going to reiterate this. I do it all the time. If you are hiring a consultant or a lawyer that has multiple clients that they're filing for, you ask the question, if I hire you to file my AAIP because I can't afford to get it wrong, how many people are you personally acting for? And if you are acting for more, am I number one on the list or am I somewhere in the background? Because if it's a race to file, you are being prejudiced by actually using a representative, unless you are the only one that they are using. And that's how I've always taken the position with our firm. We will only do 3. Myself, Alicia, Igor, we will only do 3 people each month. That's the maximum, because I never want to be in a position where I have someone else that loses out sitting, waiting for me to file a whole application before I get to theirs. Do you get it? So ask the question. And if not, I'll tell you, I'm actually seriously thinking now about creating a course to teach you how to do it in advance before June 11th so you can file your own application, just like I did before. But this is going to be a crazy race to file. And I'm probably going to open it up so that I have a series of master classes as well in the evenings to answer your questions, help you to get things straight. But stay tuned, because at the end of this video, I'm going to give you some tips right now that you can start to prepare so that when it opens on June 11th, you're ready to go. Okay. All right. Let's jump back here and keep reading through their magical explanation here. So this approach, like I said, provides multiple opportunities. Well, I don't know how wonderful this is, because once again, it's going to be race. Eligibility criteria for the AOS and these other programs, you can see, has not changed. This is really important, because what it means, and I'm going to talk about this one right here, is that the document checklist for these programs will continue to be the same. And I'll get to this in a little bit, but that's just a little teaser, because there are things that you need to do now so that you're ready. You know, if reference letters, you decided to prepare them back in February, I would update all of those, but we'll talk about that in a second. Okay. And then I will get to a few more questions. So you guys you can post some questions now if you have questions, and then I'll pick from those ones, the ones that are going to be the most beneficial to everyone. And I'll sort through those, but go ahead and don't hesitate to post your questions now, and I'll try to sort those out. Okay, so continuing down the path, here's the new guidelines, like I said. So this becomes effective June 11th, and it affects each of these streams. Applications will be accepted monthly starting on the following dates. So once again, this almost gives the impression that they're going to open it up for this period of time. And you can see here, this is really tricky. Accepted into the pool where there will be a draw, where AAIP will draw. Does that mean they're taking more? That's the question. And are they going to take more, and then are they going to focus on their priorities, the strategic priorities? I don't know, maybe, but it seems cruel to me to not limit people at the beginning. So you can see here the following dates are when they will accept. So June the 11th, July the 9th, August the 13th, September 10th, October 8th, November 5th, December 10th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 chances theoretically at getting in. But I'm sorry, like the further you get, more and more people are going to be vying for these spots. So when a streamer pathway monthly application target is reached, no further applications will be accepted until the next date. So you saw, and once again, this pushes right back to the fact that it's a matter of accepting applications. So once the application target is reached, are they going to have a countdown? I don't think that sophisticated. I think the program is just going to close. I think the application process, they're just going to turn off the ability to submit your application. And why does that suck so bad? It sucks because you're going to go through the whole process of submitting preparing all of your application, uploading the documents. And guess what happens when you do that? When you're racing, things get missed. They're going to get crappy applications, all because of this process. Man, Alberta, this is not good. This is not good. I'm going to teach you guys over the next couple days and probably week, I guess, although I got lots of stuff going on in the Holthe household. This is going to be tricky. I'm going to teach you everything that I know about the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, this in particular, the AOS, the Rural Renewal Stream. We're going to go through, we're going to talk about those programs, and I'm probably going to create a course and a masterclass, a separate masterclass to answer people's questions to help you guys get prepared. But it is going to be it's just going to be crazy. That's all I have to say about this. It's not a just system. It's not. Okay, so continuing down the path, application acceptance dates, application targets and processing times are posted here. And you can see here are subject to change. They always say that. So they can do whatever the heck they want. So when they try to do this on June the 11th and they fall flat on their face, or ultimately when the applications start piling in and they thought there was a bunch of people in the hospitality. Can you imagine what it's going to be on June 11th for the open AOS? My goodness, it's going to be a feeding frenzy. So subject to change, prospective applicants should visit regularly for more current information. Great. The new approach offers many chances to apply. Stop saying that. Like ultimately, many chances to apply. Okay, let's go and take a look at what the numbers really look at. Actually, before we get to the numbers and how really scary this is, let me just get to a few questions here from people that have chimed in. Let's see if there's anything, and we'll keep these relevant just to the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program. So we won't pull any other questions in. Okay. Oh, Anastasia says, yeah, thanks to you and your team, but I always like to know more about immigration news and be ready to for any change. You bet, Anastasia. Okay, let's see what else we have here. We could do a few more shout outs there. Spider-Man's in Montreal. Tony's in Edmonton. Let's see here. Andre's also in Red Deer. Okay, this is a great question. So HD says, hi, Mark, the existing applications in the pool exceeds the remaining allocated number of allocations. How they want to resume AOS and accept more applications starting 11th of June. Okay, this all comes down to processing time, HD. So they have not indicated, they said, yes, the goal is to get the processing times down. But ultimately, when it comes to the issuance of nominations, they have the ability to delay as long as they need to. Now, remember, their priorities with Alberta Opportunity Stream are very strategic. So just because individuals have submitted an AOS in the past does not mean that they are processed in the same time frame. So if individuals are applying and they're in one of the strategic areas where the Alberta government feels there are shortages, those applications will bump ahead of others in the queue. There is no first in, first out. This is all geared on whatever Alberta feels are the priority occupations. So if there's a gazillion food service supervisors going through the AOS, they are not going to be processed at the same rate as, say, some IT or STEM or tech, whatever their focus is, or healthcare. So this is the reason why, HD. So they can have way more people in the pool, and processing times can go up to 8, 9, 10 months. And they may very well process others quicker because they are in industries or specific sectors that are of priority to Alberta. That's the difference. All right. Okay, let's get this. So Diana says, hi again, Mark. Does this mean they will process their current applications waiting for nomination? The accelerated tech pathway has nothing accelerated anymore. Yeah, no, it's definitely not accelerated. I agree. Diana. They will process, and the accelerated tech is still a priority for them. Okay, Olu says, please, I'd like to understand how this affects those already in the AOS pool before it was suspended in February. Well, the one big thing for you is that your application will be processed. So they're not just going to kick it out. And that's one huge thing. So what they're trying to do is limit the intake of new applications so they can get through the old ones and process new ones. And once again, they're going to prioritize those industries they feel are most important. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Gerline, this is probably one of the biggest misnomers. So yes, having family in Alberta is a factor, but it's not the only factor that they look at. So Alberta Express Entry Family Connection, PNP, that actual category is overlaid with economic priorities. So it's not just family. So we don't know to what extent they're actually going to look at it. But in my mind, Gerline, if they have two people that, aside from everything else, are equal, and one has family connections in Alberta, they're going to prioritize that person. But aside from exactly how they play it out, we just don't know. Atharva says, thanks for helping. You're very welcome. Let's see here. Okay, this is not Atharva. I'm not going to answer that one because okay, this one, Atharva says, I got my ITA in Alberta with my experience being 1 year, 11 months as I lost my job and cannot complete the last month. I think this is really express entry question. Will my PR be rejected if I apply for it? Atharva, this is one where I will, oh, let's see. I don't gotta get some sound going here for you. I ring the bell and say, hey, book a consult. So I think you guys, in the description below, you will see that there is a link to our here. Click on book a consult and it'll take you to where you can do that. But ultimately, Atharva, that's something that we'll have to talk about in a consult. Okay. We got another. Adrian is over in Red Deer. Wow, there's a lot of you in Red Deer. Okay, all right. Okay, so that basically covers most of the questions. Now let's jump back and let's get to some more specific details that I want to share. Okay, let's look at the numbers now. So processing times and application levels. This is really where the devil is in the details right here. So if we look at this, let me just adjust here a little bit. Okay, so if we look at this, you'll see here how the breakdown is. So in 2024, they're reiterating once again, this is all they have to work with, 9,750. Now, they may very well get a few extras like they did last year. There might be some distributed. But you guys, it's not like in the past where some provinces just literally didn't have as many people applying and they weren't using up all their spots. That's all pretty much come to a change. It's come to an end. You know, those of you who are in Ontario are realizing, man, I got to get out of here. And same with BC, and you're moving to the other provinces so that you can have a chance at PR. And that's what happened with Alberta. You know, this overwhelming number of people that came to Alberta and now realized, hey, it's a lot easier to get in through the Alberta Opportunity Stream than it is the, Ontario Human Capital Priority Stream or something like that. And so they moved to Alberta. And then once they hit their requisite time period, 12 months or whatever it is, then they submitted their applications. And what happened? Well, now there's so many people that these spots that we have open, there just isn't enough for everyone. Sound familiar? This is a theme we're going to hear about for years to come. So this is a breakdown of the 2024 nominations issued and the total nominations available per stream. Remember, this is not a first in, first out system. So just because they have a number queued up does not mean that they are going to necessarily have to process everything in the same order. They can prioritize. And so some people can just sit in there longer waiting for their nomination to come. Okay, so here's the stream and path. This is the Alberta Opportunity Stream. So as of, and I think we've got a date up here, as of May 29th, 5 days ago, this is the world that the AAIP was looking at. So AOS, 2024 nominations issued. So they've issued 2,245 so far. And they have the total estimates for this year at 5,393. So that's what they're focusing on. So for the rest of the year, and obviously, like I said, there's already a ton in the queue, and we'll look at this, but they do not process them first in, first out. So that's what you have to wrap your mind around. But if you get in, then who cares? You know, obviously you need to be able to maintain your work, and I shouldn't say who cares, because maintaining your work permit is a real pain. And if you are, say, a postgrad work permit holder whose work permit's expiring, hopefully that's not the case. But if it is, then you have to find a way to be able to extend your permit. Otherwise, the nomination won't come through. Okay, that's a discussion for a different day. So if we look at express entry stream, we have 983 total. Those are how many have been issued so far out of 1775 is the estimate how much they allocate to this. And within the express entry stream, you'll see we actually have the dedicated healthcare pathway Accelerated tech is still really important. Like we're talking over 10%, right? Is just for the accelerated tech. Priority sector draws and other initiatives. This basically means we'll do whatever the heck we want to do with this. The sectors, that they have in here, they can change. It just depends on the provincial need. So they've got 116. They only have just a few more to go. Same thing for accelerated tech. They've got half of them. And then family connection and occupation in demand. This is really what I wanted to allude to when I was saying that it's not just family, but this is a combination. So there's people that have an occupation in demand, that could be enough. But people who also have a family connection, that's often going to push them over the edge. And so you can see we've got more than half that are issued here. And then for the rural renewal stream, this is the real kicker. 971 they processed so far. 1,900 is what they've allocated. Tourism hospitality, they boosted it up. So we know 660 they've already got. Well, we'll look at the totals you'll see down here. Their goal is 660. They processed 135. And then the entrepreneur stream, only very small. They're only expecting 22. And that includes the foreign graduate, rural, and the farm streams combined. So grand total, they've issued 4,000 of the total 9,750. But this is something that people are really curious about. So this is the breakdown. So as of May 29th, once again, about 5 days ago, this is where things are sitting. So unprocessed applications, and this was the question from the other viewer. They said, well, if there's 3,659 in the queue already, okay, and we've already processed 2,245, well, you can do the math. 2,245 plus 3,659. I think that's, what do we got there? Are we over? I am not a math person, you guys. Okay, I know you guys, some of you guys that are STEM are like laughing at me, but okay, 2,245 plus, okay, unprocessed applications, 3,659 equals 5,904. So as it stands right now, they have allocated 5,393. Well, with the ones they've processed and the ones that are in the queue, they're already at 5,904. So how does that work? Well, once again, like I said, they will focus on economic priorities. So just because you submit your application doesn't mean it's going to get processed this year. In fact, processing times can be much more lengthy, especially if you're not in one of those targeted occupations, like you're a food service supervisor or something. Okay, then let's take a look. So express entry stream. Okay, so you can see here they have unprocessed applications. They have 1,036. And then here, dedicated health and all other pathway initiatives. That's kind of May 13th. You can see currently assessing applications received on or before. Perfect. This answers the question. So you guys understand what I'm talking about here. You can see, how is it that these are being processed as of May 13th, which was just a couple weeks ago, and all other pathways in the strategic, hang up, my buddy's trying to call me here. All of the other ones in the other pathways, they're started processing since January 20th. So do you see, these ones are super high priority. So they're going to jump the queue, and they actually are right now. So they're the ones that are going to fill in the spots, and it isn't going to be all of these that are going to be used to fill in all of the rest of these. Okay, so that's what I want you to understand. There is no first in, first out. Rural renewal stream, this one's going to suffer. So 1826 is what they have right now, unprocessed applications. So you can do the math, right, guys? 1826. So if we go up rural renewal stream, well, we're pretty much already there. So if that's the case, they've already issued 971. Once again, the processing times is the only thing that's going to change. Like, processing times will go up. It's as simple as that. Even though they say that they're going to come down, well, with processing all of these applications for rural renewal, the whole concept of rural renewal is that people are living in rural places. So the economic priorities that they have here, these other initiatives, don't apply to this. So they can't play favorites with one community over another. unless they ultimately decide that there is some kind of a cap or otherwise that they're going to be placing on it. And I reached out to my Lethbridge, the person that runs the program in Lethbridge, just to see if he had heard anything or had any advance information about this. And I haven't heard from him since I sent him an email here this evening. So hopefully tomorrow I'll get some more intel from him. But that's the Roman stream. Tourism and hospitality. You can see all applications from the first intake have been assessed. So first intake, if this holds true, you guys, if this holds true, they say right here, tourism and hospitality stream 135. That seems to be the nominations issued. They indicate it, unless the figures don't jive. 135 seems to be from the first intake that they've assessed them. So maybe there's still more room there, but I could have swore there was more spots that were actually allocated in that first draw. I thought there was close to 500, but I didn't submit one through tourism and hospitality. So you guys probably know better than me. All right. And so there's the total, 6,521 that are in the queue. And then we don't need to worry too much about the other areas, but I did want to now just finish off just by showing how the numbers are going to be divided up. So you can see come June 11th, they've actually taken the time here. Let's see if I can adjust this. Yes. So June 11th, they are only going to take 430. Okay. 430, right around 430, 444. I guess they're shifting it back and forth. Express entry stream, accelerated tech pathway, 30 is all they're taking. And then 50 after that. Rural renewal stream, 145, 160. Then they're going to flip flop back and forth. And you can see this one's 145. Then it goes up to 160. This one's 430, 444. So each of these here is kind of staggering. And I don't know what their master plan is there. And then tourism and hospitality, you can see this is where they expect. So another 130, another 143, another 130. All right, you guys get the picture. So this is the specific allocation and how they're going to do it. So, so there you have it, folks. That's essentially at this stage what they're planning to do and how it's going to be allocated. Okay, let's see if we've got a few more questions, and if not, we will. Then I'll give you my recommendations and strategy. Okay. Okay. Aman says, what about the tech pathway? Are they going to accept only a specific number for this program? There you've seen. So I've just showed that to you. Okay. Ecta says, can I apply under the Alberta Opportunity Stream with conversion from postgrad to closed work permit under applied status? Well, you have to, if you didn't study in Alberta, you have to be on an employer-specific work permit to be eligible. That's the rules of the program. If you didn't study in Alberta, yeah, you have to switch, whether it's a Francophone Mobilité or an LMIA-based work permit, to have a shot at getting through. Otherwise, they won't let you. Now, if you go to the Alberta Opportunity Stream, there are some other open work permits like QUET open work permits where you can, go through, but ultimately, the general rule is it needs to be an employer-specific work permit unless you've studied in Alberta and then are working in a field related to your education on your postgrad work permit. Okay. All right. Looks like people are listening and watching, but don't have a lot of questions, probably because your mind is like, right? Just crazy. So Cheryl says, thank you, Mark, for your helpful analysis of this update. Much appreciated. Okay. So here's where the rubber hits the road. And this is the part I was waiting for most, because it's one thing to read the government website, to talk about it in as specific, but still general terms. So what you have to understand is that the Alberta Opportunity Stream is an application process where there's no screen. So you prepare your account, you submit your information, you collect your documents, upload your documents, and you file. That's the process. Information, documents, file. It's like the second stage of express entry. So there's no pre-assessment. If you think you qualify, you race to submit your application. And this is the problem, because they know, and they better know, that there are going to be a ton of applications that are submitted from people who do not qualify, who don't qualify. This is the problem. I wish they would listen to me, because when you are doing a race to file, people are going to fill up those allocation spots with applications that are incomplete or the person is ineligible. And once that spot is gone, then what? Are you going to carry forward more spots because people are submitting applications that are garbage, that are incomplete because you're forcing them to race? Well, that's a reality. So going back here, what I want to do is encourage you all to go to the Alberta Opportunity Stream and start looking at the information and documentation that is required. Excuse me, that is required. And so the first place I always go is the document checklist. Information, you can fill that in. You can do it. But when it comes to documentation, there are a bunch of things that you don't have control over. And the things that you don't have control over, you need to bloody well get those things in place now so that you have them all ready to go. So on June 11th, or hopefully before they give more instructions, you can be ready to get everything submitted. All right. So just whipping through these very fast. Okay, I'll just highlight the important ones. But okay, passports, work permits, not a big deal. Language assessments, they better be valid, but you couldn't submit without them. If you have an LMIA, obviously you need to have that in place, or if you're employer specific or whatever eligibility that you have, a postgrad work permit working in a field related to study, you need to have that ready. Education, same thing. If you're in Alberta, then your educational, credential assessments they're not going to be required if you've studied in Alberta, but you do need to make sure that you've got secondary and post-secondary degrees, diplomas, and certificates from Canada and outside of Canada. But understand, if you have, as you can see here, if you have a valid AQC or trade certificate, well, then you can use it to demonstrate. But for everybody else, it's important. If your transcripts do not include your date of enrollment, you must upload an official document from an institution that proves your enrollment date. But just read through this. I won't take the time to go drill through this, but make sure that you have these ready. Same thing. The ECA is required for anything outside of Canada. I want to point out very carefully, guys, pay statements. Sometimes employers are a little lazy and they just give you a report from the CRA website. You can't do that. So the statements, they actually have to be real pay slips. So you can't upload payroll deduction online calculator. The pay slips are an actual confirmation of what you were paid. And they want to see the past 3 months to demonstrate you're currently employed in Alberta and meeting wage requirements. Employment reference letters. This is one that you absolutely need to start working on right now. So make sure you have that. Once again, I'm not going to go into detail about this, but all of the warning signs, everything are here. Don't just copy the knock, because they do not like that. Don't just have the employer copy the description from the knock. That's a no-no. Okay. And then in addition to the reference letter, you need a job offer or employment contract. So a job offer is obviously future looking, where the reference letter is describing what you've already done, proves that you have that at least 12 or 18 month work experience that you need. And when it comes to the job offer, it's like, yep, we've got an offer for this person. They'll continue to work with us after they become a permanent resident. Okay. And then as we zip down here a little bit further, you can see they have some restrictions to making sure when it comes to trades or regulated occupations, pay attention to those. And then the one thing, if you have a family member, they ask for this goofy form, which is basically for any adult family member authorizing you to submit the application on their behalf. So this is just a very, very high level snapshot. The things that this is one thing I'd encourage you to absolutely put together and deal with. Now, like I said, I will go through and I'll probably create a quick little course on this to help people, because the reality is it's going to be a race to file. And like I said, if your representative, your consultant or lawyer has, more than one person they're filing, well, and they say, oh, if we don't get you in, we'll get you in the next round. No, you need to be first in line for every round. And it's as simple as that. All right. Let's see if we've got a few more questions and then we'll wrap up. Let's see here. Okay. And I'm just focusing on the ones that relate to this. Okay, Ekta says, thank you, Mark. I've applied for the closed work permit. My concern is if I can apply on June 11th with applied status. No, it needs to, understand the work that you have, the closed work permit, that is where the work comes from. So when you have your closed work permit, that does open up the door for you. but you have to be working on that closed work permit. So if you don't have it by then, no. Darsh says, can I change my NOC code if my AOS process is still in process? It's going to be tough, right? Because the NOC code is what encourages them to process your application at a certain time. Did you just get it wrong? Was there an error? You may be able to send a little update to them and say, hey, please note I made a mistake on my NOC code. But yeah, Darsh, the province is a little bit challenging. Okay. Yeah. Graham says, after listening, it's sad that I won't qualify since I studied in Ontario. Yes, but all my work experience for 3 years is in Alberta. Get your employer to do an LMIA for you. Will they get an LMIA? I know it's hard, Graham, but that's what I would encourage. Okay. All right. And that basically wraps it up. Okay. Though, if you're wondering, hey, why? Oh, Norton, thanks so much. Didi says, your charming personality, pleasure listening to you. You're very welcome, Norton. Thanks for tuning in. Didi Core, this is a general question related to PR that's outside of the context of this. On Wednesday, we will have our live Q&A on the YouTube channel right where you're watching here. So just come join us at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, which is noon Eastern Time on Wednesday morning, and Alicia and I will be happy to answer more general questions. All right. So there we have it, you guys. This is, well, I don't know. It is what it is, right? We can only do the very best that we can, but stay tuned. I'll be offering a lot more advice and direction. But you guys need to start preparing now. If you haven't even a sniff of a chance, take a look at the document checklist, get in there, and I'll be offering, just stay tuned on the channel. If you haven't subscribe to the channel. And when I do another live, you'll know. All right. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great evening. And this world, this is a crazy.